Welcome to Yarmouth Mountain Cemetery. My name is Joy, and I'm the tour guide here. I'm a summer student, and I've been the tour guide for the past 3 summers. Yarmouth Mountain Cemetery was founded in 1859, incorporated in 1860, and the first burials took place a year after that. Now, the cemetery was founded because the townsfolk of Yarmouth were concerned about continuing to bury their dead in the center of town, which is now Frost Park, and they decided that a new cemetery would be the perfect solution. Yarmouth Mountain Cemetery spans 40 acres, with 20 acres currently being used, so there's lots of room for expansion. The layout of the cemetery was designed by Horace William Shaler Cleveland, and he was quite a famous landscape architect from Massachusetts. He is very well known for his work, in particular Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, which is located in Concord, Massachusetts. The mountain in Yarmouth Mountain Cemetery's name comes from the steep mountain on the west side. It confuses many people, but there is a steep hill, not quite a mountain though. We are a non-denominational cemetery, meaning that anyone can be buried here regardless of their faith. And another unique feature of our cemetery are columbariums. We currently have 3 columbariums which hold ashes, and if someone wants to be placed in the columbarium, they can purchase a niche which will hold 2 sets of ashes. Where we're standing now is the Jewish lot, which was first purchased by the Agudath Achim Society in 1908 and is now run by the Shar Shalom in Halifax. Upon first entering the cemetery, you'll notice a fountain which has a bird perched atop it. This fountain was donated by William A. Law in memory of his wife Mary Law. And now we'll talk about the chapel. The chapel, which stands tall and makes a grand impression, is the David Alexander Ritchie Memorial Chapel. Now, Mr. Ritchie was a native of Yarmouth, and when he was 21, he moved to Boston. And in 1872, he struck up a partnership with a man named Henry Lamb, and they started the company Lamb and Ritchie in 1872. Lamb and Ritchie specialized, and still specialize, in gutters, drainage pipes, and things of that nature. Mr. Ritchie was known to be very inventive. He invented and patented spiral metal tubing, which is mainly used in highway drainage systems, and he made quite a bit of wealth from this invention. Before Mr. Ritchie passed away, he wanted to leave a legacy in his hometown, which is how our chapel came to be. The Ritchie Memorial Chapel was the very first mortuary chapel in Canada. He was very inspired by the Mount Auburn Chapel in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and our chapel poses a striking similarity to that chapel. He wanted the chapel designed in a Gothic style, using the finest of materials. The granite, which makes up the majority of the chapel, was sourced locally from Comoes Hill. It was all hand cut and brought into the cemetery by oxen and cart. The beams and trusses are Douglas fir and pine, which were brought in from British Columbia. And the doors, the pews, and the artistic detailing throughout the cemetery was all done in oak. Another impressive feature of the chapel is the stained glass windows. There are stained glass windows at the front and the back, as well as along the sides. The stained glass at the front and the back is original to the chapel, and it was designed and painted by a woman named Elizabeth Mary Hamilton Fry. She was quite a well-known artist from Cambridge, Massachusetts. She only has stained glass in 2 places in Canada, here and a chapel in Quebec. The stained glass along the sides, those were added later on in the chapel's existence. They were donated by family members in honor of their loved ones. As I mentioned before, Mr. Ritchie was a very smart and inventive man, and he wanted an invention in the chapel. So he created the hydraulic casket lift. There's a pump in the basement. When you let water into it, a platform will rise, and when you let the water out, the platform will lower into the basement. So what they would do would be to bring a casket in for a funeral, place it on the platform, and after the funeral was over, they'd let the water out and the platform would be lowered into the basement. Quite a smart and handy feature. Finally, during a stroll through the cemetery, you're likely to hear bells ringing. Those bells are located in the chapel, and they're electronic Carillonic bells. They would ring every 15 minutes and on the hour. They were donated by the Gardner family in the 1950s. Thank you so much for joining us today at Yarmouth Mountain Cemetery for what is sure to be a fantastic concert.